Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining today. I'm an American higher education guy, so I promise I'll stick to what I know, and I'll do my best to explain FIRE's DEI and compelled speech positions as quickly and as nuanced as possible, but forgive me because those two things don't often mix well. So at FIRE, we often see university DEI statement policies that require or invite current or prospective faculty to demonstrate their commitment to DEI, often through a written statement that factors into hiring, evaluation, promotion, or tenure decisions. And to be clear, without a doubt, colleges and universities have both the authority and obligation to ensure that campuses are free from unlawful discrimination based on race, sex, or other protected characteristics under American law. Additionally, we see university departments create positions for faculty with teaching or research interests involving DEI scholarship. However, the typical DEI statement policy is not just concerned with a faculty member's relevant academic pursuits. Many of these policies invade a faculty member's freedom of conscience, prying into their personal beliefs on contentious matters of public concern. So we often find ourselves questioning whether schools adopting DEI requirements are actually seeking to filter out individuals who don't or can't agree to act on the institution's specific set of views. After all, if the institution didn't care whether applicants align with their conception of DEI, why would they ask them to demonstrate that commitment in the first place? So while we recognize that not all these requirements are the same, we object when employees or job applicants are compelled to pledge allegiance to a school's interpretation of DEI concepts. Our concern lies not in opposing diversity, but in opposing any mandate that forces the endorsement of specific views. We believe it would be just as unacceptable to require faculty to affirm values such as patriotism, individualism, capitalism. I'm rooting for the New York Mets. I'd love to impose that, but can't do that either. And moreover, mandating agreement on contentious political and social issues directly undermines a university's mission of knowledge generation or truth-seeking. So we all probably agree in this room for the most part, but FIRE still did our homework to confirm whether or not this is a contentious area in American higher ed. So in 2022, FIRE surveyed 1,491 faculty members across public and private institutions in the United States, and the results showed an almost perfectly divided faculty. About 50% questioned the justifiability of DEI statements as job requirements, and that same percentage viewed them as ideological litmus tests that violate academic freedom. And these concerns aren't limited to just faculty. I don't know if anyone here has read this week's New York Times piece on the DEI apparatus at the University of Michigan in the United States. But after the school doubled down on DEI, staffed 241 DEI bureaucrats, and spent something like $250 million in the past 10 years on diversity initiatives, the article noted, and I'm just going to quote it here, that students were less likely to interact with people of a different race or religion or with different politics, and everyday campus complaints and academic disagreements are now cast as crises of inclusion and harm. To me, that sounds like the exact opposite of what DEI programs allegedly seek to accomplish. So I've terribly briefly outlined the threats that DEI requirements pose to free speech and academic freedom, but I do think it's essential to clarify that this isn't a zero-sum game. The ideals of free speech and diversity don't need to be at odds, and it's critical that we remember this as we advocate against the extremes of DEI. Our job is persuasion. We need to remind folks that without free speech, true diversity will never exist or thrive. To paraphrase former Congressman and civil rights leader John Lewis, without freedom of speech and the right to dissent, any genuine diversity and inclusion is like a bird without wings. Another one of my favorites, Frederick Douglass, a pretty notable abolitionist, in his plea for free speech in Boston said, "Speech is the great moral renovator of society and government. If you truly care about, actionable injustices instead of perceived injustices, you'll want the broadest speech protection so you can call it out and changes can be made." So time and time again, American history and world history shows that it's those most marginalized voices that require the strongest protections of speech that DEI tends to run right up against. When a university can truly commit to freedom of expression, it is able to foster that diversity of voices and perspectives, creating a space for true dialogue across differences from the classroom to the quad. And this environment is arguably the only environment that's going to allow students to engage with one another freely and comfortably, enriching the educational experience across the board. Unfortunately, the ideas of DEI have morphed into some sort of, behemoth or leviathan, as some real notable American scholars have started referring it to. DEI Inc. is really missing the mark of what it originally set out to accomplish. So I'm pretty sure I kept that under your time limit, and looking forward to questions.
Great.